Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Carl from thewhiskeycompanion.com, and today we're going to be looking at another whiskey overview, Jameson Crested. So this is Whiskey Overviews, a place where we look at whiskies from all around the world, give you an overview of the whiskey, the brand, and the distillery it came from. We give tasting notes, first impressions, and of course, whether it's worth your hard-earned money or not. Today, we're looking at Jameson Crested. Today's whiskey is Jameson Crested. It's distilled down in the Middleton Distillery in Cork. It's a 40% whiskey. It's on the budget side, so it's usually, when it's not on sale, is about €35. You get it for about €30, €25 fairly regularly when it's on sale. And it's a high pot still blend. We'll talk about that more later on. This is a rebrand of the Jameson Crested 10, or Crested 10 by John Jameson, that you may have seen around in any pub in Ireland. Really, it was carried by a lot of people. So they decided to do a rebrand. You know, Jameson has been going through quite a bit of a rebrand now in the last while, but they decided to do the rebrand because the 10 on the label was found to be a bit misleading to the consumer. So it was never a 10-year-old whiskey. That was just part of the name. So it's kind of similar how Proper 12 is called Proper 12, but it's not a 12-year-old whiskey. So they decided that they change the name to Crested to avoid that confusion. But they do make an homage to the old name by putting a big X, which would be the Roman numeral for 10, on the front of the label there. So I think that's quite a nice nod to the history of the brand. Now, I said earlier that this is a high pot still blend. Now, what does that actually mean? So, generally speaking, for any Jameson blends that we see that come out, they're on the higher end of the grain. So, normal Jameson is supposedly 80% grain and 20% pot still. And this one here, we're led to believe, is 60% pot still and 40% grain. So quite a big difference in the actual mash bill there, and it'll contribute more spicy notes to the palate, and maybe kind of an oily texture is generally what you get from a pot still, an Irish pot still. And this is has also been aged in some sherry casks, I'm told. So let's see how it gets on. So funnily enough, this was actually Jameson's first brand. When they were bringing all of their whiskey bottling and selling their own whiskey, they took it back from the bonders, and this was actually the first brand that they came out with and bottled from the distillery in Bow Street. This was back in 1963, I believe, was the first year that they released this, and the first year that they bottled their own stuff. And Jameson, the one that's, you know, taken over kind of the world for Irish whiskey, didn't come out until 1968. So this is actually, like, this wouldn't be the exact blend from back then, but this brand has been around for, you know, 60 years nearly, you know. So on the nose, yeah, it's quite light. I'm getting a lot of apple notes that I'd usually get from the likes of Green Spot. It's, you get a bit of caramel in there as well. It's quite nice. There's definitely some sherry influence there. It's not overly sherry heavy, but it's definitely in the background there, and you know that there's kind of, you know, some dark fruits in there. There's a little bit of minty ethanol kind of like once you get past everything, then you have the minty ethanol part, but it's very pleasant on the nose. So let's give it a try. Mm. Okay, that's quite nice. The viscosity is very butter like. There's it really does coat the tongue, and like you wouldn't know drinking it that this is blended young whiskey. Like it's a non-age statement. So generally, when you see an Irish whiskey with no age statement, you're kind of assuming that it's 3 to 4 years old, and that just drinks so smooth, and the, the viscosity is butter like. You have some kind of bitter chocolate notes in there, which is quite nice. You do get some of the toasty oakiness from the barrel, which is very pleasant. You get some of the sherry kind of from what, like, if you're used to drinking Redbreast, you'd know that kind of sherry note is just hidden in the background there. It's subdued, but it's there, and yeah, we go for a second one here. Mm. Like it doesn't. There's a little bit of nuttiness to it, and then when you do swallow, it kind of gets a bit spicy at the back, almost pepper like, and I kind of like that in a whiskey because at the start, you're greeted with the nose. It's quite pleasant. It's quite sweet. It's really nice and aromatic. Then you get to the taste. It's buttery. It's sweet and creamy, and a little bit of toast oak there, and a little bit of sherry notes. And then you get to the back, and it's peppery spice, and it's lovely. Really nice and well balanced. So what's this whiskey good for? It's great for anyone who likes Jameson, wants to go exploring, and taste kind of something different than the normal Jameson. This different kettle of fish altogether. So even if you don't like Jameson, I'd recommend even getting a drink of this in the bar, if there is one in the bar, to try it out. You can drink it neat. You can have it on ice. It stands up really well to ice. And even for me, if I'm feeling like I want a whiskey cocktail or a mixer, I would definitely use this because there is that, you get the flavor, and that follows through into the cocktail or into the mix. So that's quite a good way of going about it. From there as well, you have the likes of Powers 3 Swallow. It'd be quite similar to this. Yeah, like it's a great entry, and it's a great way to explore some of the pot still styles, and to see if you even like it, if you put it side by side for Jameson and Crested, you'll see the difference between a pot still heavy blend and a non pot still heavy blend, and Powers is all about that pot still heavy blend. So if you pick this up, you like it, next stage is going to be Powers, definitely, without a doubt. I have to say, I kind of keep one of these on hand whenever I see it at 25 quid in the likes of Tesco's or Super Value. I pick up a bottle or two. Hope this helps. Long